and work as a team like a project, and with strict timelines and responsibilities to meet. So I can meet strict timelines, and also IBC is a very legal area with everything in election is almost illegal, to the extent that I comply to the legal terms.
Okay, thank you so much, and I wish you the very best. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Madam.
Thank you. I want to ask Caroline to ask some questions. Carol, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Ngeno,
Yes, Madam.
in 2022, the Supreme Court, in the presidential petition, identified certain weaknesses in the result transmission system. Given now your background and understanding of IT, what are those challenges that the court identified, and should you become successful, how would you steer the commission in navigating those challenges?
The 2022 election challenges, it was majorly about transparency, to the extent that there was a division between commissioners, because there's a group that felt that...
No.
Sorry.
Let's focus on the result transmission system.
Yes.
Not the governance issues.
Okay.
The result transmission system, I mean, like, you know, IBC uses technology.
Yes.
For vote identification, biometric vote identification, and the result transmission. But the Supreme Court identified certain issues or certain weaknesses in the manner in which IBC deployed technology. What were those weaknesses, and how would you navigate them?
In results transmission, there were challenges in terms of connectivity, as in there are some areas which the results were not able to come to the server or to the central tallying system. The other thing was, like, the way it was being handled. Some results could come with because the officials were taking a picture or an image of the results form. So the way they do it, sometimes they come halfway, which would not be verified how the results, the completeness of that results. And when you look at it, generally, it was like, to me, as an ICT expert and someone who has worked in election before, it was more of administrative issues than the functionality of the system, because the system worked very well in certain areas. Also, you notice that the election IBC officials, which are engaged on temporary basis and may not have had good training on how to transmit the results. I have also looked at what was highlighted by the KBMG in the audit, and they were talking of strong password, weak passwords. That's an area that needs a great discussion, because the problem that we had in 2023, in 2013, in results transmission, was because of strong passwords that we had enforced at that time, and many people were not able to log in and send the results. Now, when the passwords are changed to be a bit easier and flexible for the IBC officials, it also becomes a vulnerability. So what can be done is to strike a balance between a strong password and a weak password, to see how we can safeguard the integrity of the system, at the same time make it possible for everyone who is using the system to be able to access it. Then the other one is fine-tuning the system to the extent that when an official is trying to send the results and they are taking an image, the system should be fine-tuned to the extent that it should not be able to send half the results or the form. It should only accept to send the results when it has captured the whole form. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I wish you well. Over to you, Chair.
Thank you. I want to invite Koki to ask some questions.
Thank you very much, Chair. Mr. Ngeno.
Yes, Madam Koki.
Should IEBC regulate and oversight political spending?
Yes, IBC should regulate and control political spending.
So how would you strengthen IEBC's oversight of political spending?
It is actually supposed to, it's an ideal situation. IBC should regulate and control. But it is a very challenging situation, given that the money that is spent in elections by political people or politicians, majority of it is not even about the posters, things that can be put in the budget. It is all about handouts that they give it to the voters, which is illegal. So that one, it is hard it is hard to account for it. And also, there is another thing that it's really impacting in the democracy in this country. The level of honest in terms of dealings is very low. I had a privilege when I was in IBC to go to Brazil to do the observation of presidential election. And some of the things that we were looking was the campaign. The campaign there is managed well in a systematic manner, to the extent that there is a level playground for politicians, because it is actually the Electoral Commission there that manages the funds for the candidates. So
you said that IEBC should oversight and regulate
yes.
campaign spending, and I asked you how. So please give us some steps on how you would.
One is to work together with political parties. Secondly, is to have a very strict code of conduct in terms of the campaign, and declaration of the budget by the candidates on how much they can, and maybe for IBC to form a special unit that enforces that code of conduct for management of campaign funds outside the normal, because the current IBC as it is, the officers in the field, their hands are full. They may not be able to follow the politicians to every campaign or call them. But if IBC could form a separate unit that deals with campaign financing, they'll be able to manage to certain level.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ngeno, and I wish you all the best. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I want to ask FCPA to ask you some questions. FCPA, please.
Thank you, Chair. Bwana Ngeno, you know, all along I thought you were still at IBC. When did you leave IBC? And
I left IBC in 2017.
Any reason? And you had prospects?
Yes, I had prospects. I loved it, but I aspired to be a candidate, which did not work.
Which candidate?
I had aspired to be an MP.
Member of Parliament?
Yes.
For which constituency?
Sotik.
Or Sotik?
Yes.
So you fell at what point? Nomination?
Nomination. I didn't go beyond nomination.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why would you want to leave Kipi, and you are Deputy Managing Director now?
Because one, I have seen and I know and I understand the kind of commissioner that IEBC requires, and I am one. I know what it takes to be a commissioner in IEBC. I joined IEBC during the time of reform, and it was not a good reform. It was a very serious reform after the post-elections. So I joined IEBC, and I was oriented in a way that I should take seriously every election activity, because it means a lot to this country. So IEBC needs that kind of, any commissioner needs that kind of orientation, whereby it's like, it's like you are driving in a road and you are driving carelessly, then you find a very bad accident. You'll start slowing down and following the rules, the traffic rules for some time before you go back to your behavior. That is how I was oriented. I was made to understand that elections are serious issues in this country that needs to be handled with due care, because it can break the country. So I have that passion to do it, and I have the necessary experience. And one of the areas that I think has been troubling IEBC is ICT and the server. And there is a need, and a serious need for that matter, to have an ICT experienced person as a commissioner in IEBC. And this is evident from where we started. The technology was moving very well during the IIEC, because we had a commissioner who was an expert in ICT. Then there was a slowdown in IEBC towards 2013, even from the procurement, because ICT issues were not being articulated in the plenary to the extent that it was not receiving the necessary attention, and some of them delayed in procurement and implementation and affected the result, transmission, and management of election during 2013. So there is a need to have an ICT expert who understands also election in the IEBC Commission.
Thank you. I wish you well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Misati?
Thanks so much, Chairman. Stephen Kibet
Yes, sir.
Ngeno, please tell this panel the work of the Secretariat in IEBC, particularly in terms of human resource. What are you doing?
Thank you very much, sir. The work of Secretariat in IEBC is to run the day-to-day activities of the Commission. And these activities revolve around voter registration, voter education, and other activities like financial management. I mean, that's about the ICT.
Stephen,
Yes.
I actually requested the work of the Secretariat in relation to human resource, staff management, and all that.
In relation to human resource, I am not getting you there.
The Secretariat and the staff of IEBC.
Yeah.
So who recruits the staff? So what does the Secretariat do in terms of the staff, the directorates and all that?
Oh, the human resource. There is a fully fledged directorate of human resource in IEBC, led by a director human resource. And depending on the levels, senior levels are normally recruited by the commissioners. But the other levels are recruited by internally by the Directorate of Human Resource. But when it comes to the election time, that role is delegated to the returning officer at the constituency level to recruit and train staff who are manning the election during the election time.
What are some of the risks associated with recruiting such a huge number of staff during the general elections?
The first risk is that there is a risk of interference. It do happen, interference from outside, political class, putting pressure on IEBC staff to recruit certain people who may not have the necessary qualifications to do that job. Secondly, people don't have the same level of understanding. During the training, some officers may not be able to get the training, the necessary training, to the extent that they are able to efficiently run election. And the other risk is that since they are temporary staff, the way they used to be during the ECK, these ones, some of it, there is a risk that someone is trained, recruited, trained, and failed to turn up in the morning of the day of election. That's the greatest risk again.
Thanks so much, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to invite Fatuma to ask you some questions. Fatuma, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Ngeno,
Yes, Madam Fatuma.
if you're given a chance, how would you prioritize stakeholder engagement at IEBC? How would you prioritize if you are given a chance?
Thank you very much. Stakeholders in every election are very important entities in election. In IEBC, the first one of the stakeholders is the political class. There is a need to be harmony between the political class, the politicians, and the commission. The other one is the government itself, which is central government in terms of treasury. IEBC is independent but still rely in government for funding. So there need to be understanding. There need to be exchange of information, open information, to the extent that they know the need of having those funds in advance to meet the strict timelines. The other one is parliament. There are legislations or some laws that needs to be worked on maybe before an election. And the parliament should be actually told or explained to that they need to have those amendments passed so that it can facilitate smooth running of the of elections. The other one is the media. Media needs, because corporate image of an organization is how people receive it. Media in this country is a great influencer of elections and any other thing. They actually set the agenda of what is to be discussed. Whenever they give attention to a certain topic, it becomes the discussion for everybody. So they need to actually have a very good understanding so that media, they don't do a bad job. They can be a very good vehicle for further education and so many other activities of the Commission.
How would you place them in order of priority? You've identified them, yes, but how do you prioritize?
One, I will the one is the political class, because one, no.
Separate issues when you talk about the political class.
Politician.
When you're saying a stakeholder, you must be very specific.
Politicians.
Which politicians?
Majorly members of parliament, to agree so that these are the people who actually supposed to apart from doing the oversight of IEBC, they are the opinion opinion leaders in this country, and this country needs peace for any election preparation or for election to be conducted. The other one is IBC, Treasury. Treasury is among the top stakeholders stakeholders of in election. The IBC needs money to run every activity efficiently and effectively. Then the other one is also the voters themselves. They need to know, like registration, when is it happening, and to know their rights to register and prepare for the elections. Yes.
Thank you very much, and I wish you well. Back
Thank
to you,
you.
Chair.
Thank you. I want to ask Nicodemus to ask some questions, please.
Yes, you've said you've worked at the IEBC before, and you are part of the team that introduced the electronic voter system in Kenya. Given a chance to be a member of the commission, how would you help in reducing the amount of money that is being gobbled by the ICT system at IEBC?
Technology actually is required in election nowadays, and technology is very expensive. Unfortunately, the pace at which technology is changing is so fast, to the extent that in the next 5 years, when election is being done or being carried out, maybe the technology has been phased out, so you need to do another one. But there's a way we can do, to the extent that we can run an audit the way an audit was done on the register. We can still run an audit on the hardware and the network infrastructure to see those ones which can be maintained easily and can be reused in another election than starting all over again. But as we do this, as much as I know and I believe that resources should be used in a very prudent manner. Democracy is a very expensive process. When you look at it, like in IBC today, there are some polling stations which have got less than 10 people. But it cannot be closed because it is for public interest and for the good, common good, that those people have their rights. And they will get a full deployment of election officials, including security, just like any other stations which have got maybe thousands of voters. So apart from the need to have, to manage the election budget in technology, there is also the need to look at that democracy is exercised and is accessed by every Kenyan.
Thank you, Stephen, and all the
Thank
best.
you.
Thank you. Professor, please, ask some questions.
Thank you, Chair. Banangeno,
Yes, Professor.
let's go ethical, because it's an issue in elections. Kindly outline the constitutional and statutory instruments that form the backbone of Kenya's integrity framework for public offices, and which of these are the most relevant